that will be to engage an organization that serves the East African community to implement this initiative, this campaign that has the two parts around raising awareness and creating healthier beverage environments. And we also want to continue to grow existing partnerships that we had through this round of funding.
And there was a couple slides back, you mentioned a partnership with the university and the public schools and the park board, so I'm expecting they'll be part of it. You also talked about the city's beverage environment and our vending machines. Have we already looked at the vending machines that the city has, and how many sugary drinks are there?
No, we have not looked at the vending machines. We've looked at snack vending, the content of snacks in the vending machines, but we specifically haven't looked at the beverages in vending machines or done an assessment just yet.
Is that something we'll expect to see in the next few months?
Possibly, yes.
And you also mentioned the new City Hall restaurant. Do we have anybody who's interested yet, or?
We haven't began the conversations just yet. These were just ideas that we had. Really, the rationale behind it was we've done so much awareness raising, because what we want to do is really make this issue relevant for all people and places before we try to pursue any sort of environment change strategy. And by raising awareness, it would help create a little bit more buy-in. And so that's been our primary focus at the city level. And in terms of expanding beyond that, we were thinking about vending in the new City Hall restaurant, but no conversations yet.
And I wasn't questioning the strategy, the public awareness, laying the groundwork. That's all been really very important and crucial and vital. I'm just curious because we work in City Hall and we maybe have more influence over city operations. And if we're leading by example, that would be great. We're actually having a lot of trouble recruiting a restaurant for the space downstairs. And so the RFP's been out and we haven't got very many respondents. So if you recruit somebody who's going to serve healthy beverages, that would be great. I think it's going to be hard to think about what kind of city level ordinances that would make sense to apply here and those kinds of things. And so, as we do that, the more it can be vetted with the community, with the food council, with the wellness committee, with others to think what actually makes sense. When could city government actually get involved? I know there's been some big stories out of New York and other cities about efforts and missteps and trying to see how we can do so. I think raising this public awareness is really good. It also reminded me the whole discussion in the movie called Fed Up, and I hope that you've seen that. And also, Fed Up is a movie, and it's more about the sugar industry and kind of the bait and switch that happened when we thought calorie intake was the problem. Everybody added sugar to go to low cal, and it really sheds light on how powerful maybe the sugar lobby is and how difficult it is to actually take them on. And there just must be billions and billions of dollars in this. And so I hope you don't get any trouble for holding up that Sprite there and showing these products. I think it's taking PepsiCo. I think it's PepsiCo anyway, somebody like that, but more power to you. Yeah. But that's, it's very interesting. I recommend the movie to others, and they have their own whole challenge about trying to go sugar-free. Look at that, because it's not just our drinks, as you know. But I love this focus; makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate it. I think there's a little more discussion, maybe. Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say how much I appreciated this work. It's pretty terrifying to think about having more than half of adults in Hennepin County being overweight or obese, and the healthcare costs of that. And then even more so to me to think about the children that we are setting up for a lifetime of health issues and the emotional and financial costs of that as well. So I think of these efforts as a very, very small contribution to, stemming that tide and really having very real financial implications for future policymakers as they deal with having a society that is more than half overweight and obese. I'm also really interested, really just echoing what Chair Gordon said in keeping this work going. I think this community-focused work is so important, particularly in creating youth leaders who are so articulate and talking to their peers and policymakers. Excellent job. But also I'm interested in policy recommendations as well. And I think as those conversations continue, it would be interesting to hear how we might tackle this issue. I think it's really important.
Yeah. And I don't think it's too late to think about policy options. It's kind of good to examine the landscape at the city level and see what's possible, what's feasible. But, policy, the word just tends to scare people. So does the word tax. So does ordinance. And when people hear sugar sweetened beverages, they tend to automatically assume we're going to start taxing something. And we're safely to say years away from that. And I think, I don't know a quantity in terms of years, but I think there's just a lot of potential in the city because Minneapolis is so innovative when it comes to food related initiatives, local food sustainability, urban agriculture, and is so creative and kind of the front runner in the nation for initiatives like that. So I think there is a lot of potential at the policy level.
So I had one question about the policy level. You mentioned some state policy and even federal, maybe labeling policies.
Yep.
Have you looked at the legislative agenda? Because the city council has a legislative agenda, and once we put something in that, our lobbyists in Washington or St. Paul can advocate for that. And so that would be something I think we should double check, and I haven't been able to do it up here on the fly, but see if some of those initiatives, make sure they have the full support of the city as they go forward. And maybe somebody knows.
Chair Gordon, Councilmember Bender. The state has not had that as a major focus, but that is something that we could definitely introduce to the city's process through IGR. Sorry.
And so they're already working on the legislative agenda for next year. So we should already be talking with Gene Ranieri and his staff about any changes we want to make. And I think you get a lot of support from the council if you wanted to.
We can look into that. Thank you for the suggestion.
And Councilmember Johnson. Oh, Councilmember Fries first, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned that people often get concerned about the terms policy or tax or cost, and I just wanted to point out that ultimately, by the massive consumption of some of these sugary beverages, just like tobacco, there is a massive cost to society at the end of the day. And whether that's through increased insurance premiums or the notion that longer hospital stays or the fact that generally speaking, obese people and those who consume massive amount of sugary drinks are far more likely to have multiple sick days and then far more likely to lose their jobs, can't pay their mortgage, and then go homeless, and then ultimately society is covering that cost too. So,
right.
I mean, there's more than one cost here that we have to consider in terms of the detriment that an unhealthy lifestyle can bring.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering, in relationship to sugary drinks, or specifically in the relationship with soda, how does this compare to alcohol consumption? I ask that because I'm a pretty healthy person. And I think about a 20-ounce Coca-Cola. I go, oh, gross. I'm never going to drink that, right? It's 240 calories per bottle. Yet I like my beer. And if I have 3 or 4 beers, all of a sudden I'm 800 calories deep, and I don't think twice about that. And so how does alcohol consumption compare to soda when looking at obesity in our county?
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Johnson, that's a great question. We have not addressed alcoholic beverages, though they are a sugar sweetened beverage just yet. Whether we would, I'm unsure of it, but I understand your perspective because having a beer, having a drink could equal some of the same amount of sugar that's in a Sprite or in a Tahitian treat. But no, we haven't looked into it just yet.
All right. Yeah, I think it would be helpful to kind of take that into the bigger picture of just unhealthy consumption. And Thank you.
Interesting. I was also thinking about plastic water bottles. I really appreciate you didn't really bring that up. You didn't show very many pictures or images of that either, although that would be a non-sugary option and something that they could replace in vending machines in stores all over. But I think that creates problems in and of itself. And I liked also seeing the Minneapolis taps that we can take to festivals and those things. I'm not sure how many of those we have and how easy it is for folks to get it, but that might be something we want to make more available for more festivals and other events and that kind of thing, because it helps us advertise our tap water, but also it helps us then provide a healthier choice and often a more affordable choice than what's available there as well. So I appreciate that. Any other comments or questions from committee members? Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any. So I'm going to move to receive and file this presentation and thank everybody for coming and all your great work on this. And stay tuned and stay involved as we keep pushing this forward.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion to receive and file, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And seeing no further business before us, this meeting is adjourned.